Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. At BriteVibe, we believe everyone deserves to be happy. But in today's world, everywhere you turn, there is division and negativity. At BriteVibe, we have created a global movement to bring 8 million people together who are inspired to live bright, live bold, and share bright vibes. Alone, it can be hard to change, but together we can change the world. Welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. Luis Scott, welcome to the BriteVibe podcast. So happy to have you on today, sir.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes. You've got a very interesting story. So we wanted to have you on to kind of share your story. I love stories, the overcoming story, the hero's journey story. Certainly you've had your own hero's journey and probably maybe going through a cycle of that now. We'll find out today. But give us a little bit about your background and what brings you on the podcast today.
So my background is in the legal industry. I started working in the legal industry when I was 19 years old. I really didn't believe I could be a lawyer. I'm now a lawyer, not a practicing lawyer. I just run a law firm and a consulting business that helps lawyers. But I never thought I could be a lawyer. I didn't think I was smart enough. And I had one judge who believed in me and who was like, "You can do this. Let you do an internship." And I did this internship. I always say it's kind of like a funny story because I did the internship to wonder, to find out if I could be a lawyer. But I met this lawyer, and the lawyer showed me what it was like to own a law firm, and I realized that I didn't want to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a law firm owner. And so that kind of set me off into being an entrepreneur, and I ended up going to law school and became a lawyer with the sole purpose of being an entrepreneur. Like I went in, I didn't want to do criminal law. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have like this dream that I was going to be, the guy on TV and courtroom TV and like really killing it, or even getting like $100 million settlement in PI. I was just, I was like, how do I build the best business? Like, that's what I wanted.
I love it. I love it. So you're an entrepreneur through and through. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started, met a dozen businesses. Most of them fail, of course. And but a couple of them stuck. And thankfully a couple of them have stuck or be on the podcast. I'd still be trying to figure it out. But yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's my backstory.
Yeah, I love it. And so you're from Puerto Rico?
I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I wasn't born in Puerto Rico. I was born in Gary, Indiana, of all places. But my parents moved back to Puerto Rico, and we kind of grew up there. And then when I was 13, we permanently moved to the United States when my dad joined the military as a military chaplain. And we moved, and I went to high school, ended up getting a college scholarship for baseball. I played D1 baseball, second base, and
nice.
And then that's kind of what's set the road into eventually going to law school.
Nice. And so you went to law school, and then I think right out of law school, you had a couple partners and you founded a firm, correct?
So I was working in the firm. I always tell people that I was like the true American dream. I started at this law firm when I was a receptionist, and while I was a receptionist, I became an interpreter to legal assistant to paralegal to marketing. Then I went to law school, became an attorney.
Wow.
And then after I became an attorney, I became a partner, and then eventually I became a managing partner of the same firm 15 years later. So I went from receptionist to managing partner of the same firm. And so that was kind of my entry into the world of law. It didn't end up working out, obviously, because I'm in a new partnership, but it didn't work out primarily because you have to have like a tremendous amount of alignment when you're in partnership with one person. Just, you can imagine how much more complex it is with two people. So like now I have two partners, that's three of us, and we did not have the same vision. They were a lot older than me. In fact, one of them's now passed away. But they were much older than me. They were kind of winding down their practice. They were they had a different work schedule. I wanted to grind 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. I wanted to build the business, build. And they had kids that were my age. So it was just different. So we had a misalignment there. And then I went out on my own, started my own firm. And then from there, I joined with my business partner. And now we have several businesses from there.
Very cool. And so, pre-show, we talked about your passion for helping people, leadership, entrepreneurship, empowering people. But ultimately, what are some of the life lessons you learned along the way of kind of just life lessons you've learned along the way that kind of help you lead others?
I mean, one of the things that I've learned is that people they crave community. They crave a sense of a relationship. And I think if you want to be a great entrepreneur with lots of people, we have almost 200 employees between our two companies. If you want to be a great employer, you have to be focused on people. You have to be focused on the way you treat them. And just recently I was hosting a conference where I talked about the difference between the old paradigm and the new paradigm of business ownership. In the old paradigm, you could be like the totalitarian, you could be the dictator, you could do whatever you wanted. You didn't have to like really account for anybody, because in that paradigm, people didn't have choices. But today people have choices. 53% of young people have a side hustle, including their job. So you better treat them right, or they're going to go do something else. And I joke about how I have this one employee in my firm. He works for the firm. He works for the consulting business. He's a DJ and he rents jet skis. Like, this guy has options, like he doesn't need me, right?
Right,
And so like,
right.
I better be good to him. So like, that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned is be good to your people, and your people in turn will be good to you. I think the second thing is you have to have a tremendous amount of grit. And there's a book by Angela Duckworth where she talks about grit and kind of what I've extrapolated from it. I don't think it was her exact wording, but it was that grit is being able to do the monotonous for an extended period of time without losing enthusiasm. And I think that that's really what grit's all about. It's like, how do you keep doing those mundane tasks every day, every day, every day, but not lose the enthusiasm in the midst of all the other things happening in your life? And so if you want to be a great entrepreneur, you better be gritty.
Yes, yes. It is not for the weak at heart, or right, or the weak at spirit. I said,
Yeah.
I've said on this podcast before, it's like if you want to go on a journey of spiritual transformation, start a business,
Oh my gosh.
right?
Yeah.
Because it will test you in every possible way, every conceivable. Your people skills, your relationship skills, your communication skills, your financial management skills, right?
Everything.
And then a pandemic will hit, and it'll take all of that stuff, throw it out the window, and then you get to restart, right? With
Absolutely.
okay, what do we do with this new dynamic? And so tell us a little bit about kind of what you do today. You do some consulting. I know you do speaking, leadership. Do you do leadership workshops?
Yeah, on the law firm side, the firm has about 30 lawyers and
Mhm.
about 150, 160 employees, and that business kind of we help about 5,000 clients a year
Mhm.
in legal matters. On the consulting side, we help law firms transform their business to generate 10 million in predictable revenue. That's why we call it eight-figure firm consulting. We're trying to help people get to 10 million in predictable revenue using a process that I developed over the last 20 years. And I could say it's proprietary, but it's like anything. It's like it's you take a little bit from here and there, and then you
Yeah,
piece it
sure.
together, and that helps you really scale a business. And so we've been fortunate enough in the last 2.5 years to have helped 15 firms reach eight figures in predictable revenue. And so we help people do that. Now, in the process of being a what I call a content creator, and by that I don't mean a social media content creator, like a
Mhm.
true content creator. I've written a couple books.
Mhm.
I've developed several courses. So we have like a course called the 9 Principles of Exponential Growth. We
Mm.
have the Management One course, which helps you be a better second in command. We have the Leadership Academy, which is a 36-week course on improving and enhancing your leadership.
Mm.
And so these are the things that we've done. We have a team training exercise. It's 26 team trainings to help your employees be better employees for the business. So we have like this holistic approach to developing and building a law firm. And that's where I'm spending the majority of my time, is creating content that helps businesses. I say law firms because that's what we focus on
Right,
primarily, but we've now
right.
gone into like CPA firms and tax firms and so forth, but helping businesses transform their organization so that they can make more and do less. And that's kind
Mhm.
of like part of our motto.
And why is all this important to you? I guess, why are you so obviously you're passionate about it. You can tell just through your voice and through your mannerisms, but why are you so passionate about this?
I think, a while ago, I developed a personal vision statement of leading a life of significance. And I asked myself, if I was going to lead a life of significance, how would I do it? And I think about the ripple effect, like you throw a rock into water and there's a ripple effect. And,
Mhm.
and that was how could I create the greatest ripple effect? And I thought it was helping other law firm owners achieve what I had achieved in my law firm, which was a business that ran for years and decades without them. And so for me, it's really important because I do believe in they're having access to the law. Like, I think that there's a limitation on many people having good access to good representation. So I believe
Mhm.
in that. And then the question is, how can we get the best law firms out there so that they can actually provide that service that people need in the legal community? And so to me, it's all about creating that impact. If I can help, we've gotten to about 120 firms now that we've worked with. If I can help 100 law firms create a community impact that is significant, that'll be my ripple effect. And
Mhm.
that's why I believe in this so much. But also, there's nothing better than seeing somebody make seven figures in personal income. Like, I didn't realize this. I used to say my vision was to be the leading authority in law firm building. My mission was to help 100 law firms develop 8 figures in predictable revenue. I did not realize that my joy was watching someone make $1 million in income and seeing how their life and the life of the people that they love most, their children and their family, would be transformed. And so I just get so much joy out of like finding out that another person said, by the way, I made 7 figures this year. And I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. Like, what did you do with it? I bought myself a G-Wagon, or I took my family on a $60,000 Italy vacation, or one of my clients just recently bought a plane. Like, whoa, like that's freaking amazing that you can improve your family and the legacy of your family and the legacy of your community because of the work that we're doing. So that's why I get so passionate about this.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And typically what I found is people's passions are fueled usually by kind of how they were raised, kind of what the environment they grew up in. So, is that something, are you so passionate about it because you were raised maybe the opposite of that, or in an opposite environment, or kind of is there, what?
No, I'm not really sure if I was raised in an opposite environment. My dad was a pastor. My brother's a
Right.
pastor. They grew up around, I grew up around the church, just in that environment. I think that my dad used to have a saying when I was little, and he's like, it's not about how big the church was, but rather how many friends you leave behind. And he was so focused on building relationships. And it really resonated with me that building relationships was the way to have the best in life. And there's a phrase, I need to trademark this phrase, but it's the depth of your human experience will be measured by the commitment you make to the relationships in your life. That's something I tell all of my employees. And so if you want to have a deep, meaningful life, you need to commit to the relationships in it. And what I have found is the deeper I commit to people, even though people suck sometimes, like that's just the reality, but the deeper I commit to people, the more I commit to people, the longer I commit to people, the more depth that I have in my own life, and the more I feel fulfilled in waking up every single morning. And because it's more than just making money. It's more than just doing work. It's more than just living another day. It's about meaningful connection for this very short period of time that we have on this earth. And I think that is where it just resonated with me. And I'm driven by this idea that I want people to feel like my life mattered. And that's why I resonate with Alexander Hamilton, right? I watched it. I know the show is not.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen,
I haven't
my
seen
gosh.
it. Nope, I haven't seen it. So, but feel free to spoil it because I probably never will see it.
Oh my gosh, you gotta.
I mean, at some point, but I have not seen it yet.
Well, one of the songs on there is like, "The world will know my name,"
Right.
and he was so committed. He was committed to like just really making an impact in this world, and our entire country is founded on this. Basically this man's belief system. Like, I don't think people realize that, between him and James Madison, like when they wrote the Federalist Papers defending the Constitution. I know that this is not what the show's about, but like that was like the foundation of like our country. Like, how impactful was that? And it's like, we could say anything, I'm sure they had all kinds of negative problems in their life, but like, it's just creating something that has such a ripple effect. That's kind of my life's mission. And that's what I spend my day thinking about.
I love it. I love your passion behind that. And then let's just to bring it in the practical terms, give me 2 or 3 things that you're seeing since you do consult, and let's just call it businesses in general, but give me 2 or 3 things that you see that they're not doing right to really have that ripple effect. And then maybe 2 or 3 things that you help them with, or that you see, this is getting the effect that we want or having the impact that we want.
Yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 things that they're not doing right. I mean, it really comes down to, number one, they're not believing that they can build the business of their dreams. I think that's a big, big problem with most people. I think we all have some level of insecurity or imposter syndrome, as they call it. And I think starting off with that belief system and saying, you know what, I can do this because I've seen other people do it. And I love that meme that says, for every doubt you have about your ability to do something, someone else with less talent has already done it. Like, I love that. Like, stop doubting yourself. Somebody with less talent has already achieved what you think you can achieve. So I think belief is a big part. And the way we help them is we help them see the possibilities by structuring their intention. And I always talk about your business will grow to the level of your intention. So if you want your business to be 10 million or 5 million or 2 million or whatever it is, you need to intend for it to become that. You need to plan for it. And planning is the process of removing the fog, right? If you're driving down the highway and it's foggy, you better slow down because there may be a car stopped ahead. But if it's a clear day you can go 90, you can go 100, you can just like rip it, right? And so
Right.
planning is removing the fog. Planning allows you to go that full 90 to 100 miles an hour. And so that's one way that we help people is we set the intention by properly planning. I think the second thing is the fear of marketing. A lot of people don't realize that investing in marketing is the greatest investment you could possibly make. One of the things that I always find very strange is you have a person who's making $1 million a year. Let's bring it down to a lower level, $250,000 a year. They're taking 10%, 20% of that, putting into the stock market. That return will never be as great as the return that you can have in your own business.
Right.
Period. You can do the math.
Right.
If you figure out your cost of acquisition of whatever product that you're selling, whether it's a product or service, you will find that the cost of acquisition to acquire more clients is always going to yield a greater return than investing in the stock market. Now, I'm not giving advice here on investing in the stock market. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a lot of people are limiting themselves to a smaller business than they can actually build because they're fearful of investing in their marketing, because in their minds they have to save money. And when you're younger or when you have just started your business, you need to be more focused on investing into the greatest investment portfolio that you could actually have, and that's your business. And so I tell people the way that we teach them to get out of that mindset is your business is Apple, your business is Delta, your business is Amazon. Are you going to take your money and put it in the stock market for Amazon, Apple, Delta, or are you going to put it in your business? And so buy shares of your own business and then take that money and reinvest it so that the business grows. And that dividend that you're going to receive, what we call the profit, is going to be greater down the line if you make that investment.
Yep. Yeah, that is usually true. Too often, in my own life, and I see in a lot of other people's lives, and I've heard really smart people say, "Don't monkey with other people's monkeys," basically, or don't, because you get really good at what you do and then just do more of it or expand or scale it. When you start investing in other people's mousetraps, a lot of times you lose money because you don't know that business, you don't know that industry, and you don't have any control. And so I'm not saying you shouldn't, and I'm not saying, and again, I'm not giving advice. I'm not saying you shouldn't invest in others' businesses, but usually your highest rate of return is in your own business, in your own, or in what you know to do. That's
100%.
always going to be your highest rate of return.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing is that these other businesses are taking your money so that to grow their own business.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's funny because we don't even think about it like that. We're like, no, we need to invest so that we can make 10% return. Well, if you invested in your own business, you'd make 80, 90, 100% return.
Right. Exactly. So, and then do you have a third there? We got building business of your dreams, basically reinvesting in your own business.
I think the third part is not understanding people. And I heard this a while ago, and it was like, if you want to be great at business, you need to understand how people behave. Like that is so critical. And so I began to study people through reading and watching videos and even the experiences that I had. And I started realizing that people want purpose and belonging. And if you want to have a great business, you better create that purpose for them, or at least identify that purpose for them. And you better create a place where they belong, because if not, they're going to continuously leave you and you're going to have a revolving door business. And I see so many businesses that struggle, and they'll say things like, I could never manage 100 employees. I could never manage 150. I could never manage it, because they haven't become very good at working with people. And so one of the things that I've said that I've developed over the years is a skill set to work with people, like understanding how to motivate people in a way that makes them want to give to me and the organization as much as I want to give to them. And when you create that type of relationship, the sky's the limit.
I love it. And so kind of you've given some of the antidote to a lot of the negative. Are there other things that you're seeing that people or businesses or people that are leaders doing right that you're like, yeah, that's exactly 110% right?
I mean, I think finding out, in terms of doing 110% right, is like planning properly, marketing your business like nobody knows who you are, because the reality is probably nobody knows who you are. And then I think the third thing is investing in people. And those three primary investments, I think that's all of business. Now we could talk about the product. The product matters. Right. Like if you have a crappy product, it's gonna tank just like a crappy restaurant. But at the end of the day, if you believe in your product, it's really just about planning, marketing, people. That's it.
Planning, marketing, people, PMP.
PMP.
I'm writing that down. You need to, if you haven't already got that in a book, you need to write that. You need to have that book.
You just gave me the idea.
There we go. I love it. That's what I love to do. I love to inspire people, have new ideas. Okay. And from a wisdom standpoint, I like to kind of uh, at the end of the shows kind of talk about like if you just had one piece of wisdom that you can impart to every human being, not just business people, but every human being. So if you get one, uh, 60-second message to give to 80 or what is it, 8 billion people now,
Yeah.
just to inspire them or to just help them in their lives, what would that one message be?
The message to inspire people in their lives, I mean, the message would be life is meaningful, and life is, it will feel more meaningful when you are actually adding value to other people. So like
Mhm,
that's what I want people to wake up is say, if I'm struggling today, this morning, I'm listening to this, or maybe I'm listening to this at night, and I'm
mhm,
struggling, I'm saying, man, what is the point of life?
mhm.
Just know that the point of life is to add value to other people's lives. And if you do that, you're going to find life to be much more meaningful, which is the reason I wake up every morning excited, is because I know I'm delivering meaning.
Mhm,
If I were to tell people what is one skill that they need to know,
mhm,
what
yeah,
is one thing
yeah.
that you could take away? You need to learn how to sell. I think whether you're an employee or you're an entrepreneur,
I love it.
become a salesperson.
Right.
And I really believe if you learn how to sell, you'll never be poor in your life. And so every company is looking for a great salesperson, and every company
Uh-huh.
needs a great salesperson. So become really good at sales. So add value to people. That'll help you find meaning. Learn how to sell. That'll help you to find money.
Yes,
So
totally. And I think a big part of selling is also just being passionate about what you do. I mean, you
yeah,
don't have to be great at sales if you're really passionate about it because that bleeds through. I mean, it is influence, right? When you're
absolutely.
really passionate, you typically have influence because people see how passionate, like, you have passion for what you do. So therefore you have influence in the space that you're in
Yep,
because people see your passion. They know, oh, wow, he's really about it. He's, 110% on board to help me. I'm sure,
absolutely.
I'm sure that's what your clients feel. Well, very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Bright Vibe podcast today. I love to have people on the show that are inspiring and full of life. And then we put that out there in the digital world and hopefully that offsets any negative out there in the digital world,
Absolutely.
right? We do bright things at Bright Vibe. Thank you so much today for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the Bright Vibe podcast. For more information, go to britevibe.com. That's BRITE vibe, VIBE.com. Thank you for listening.